In the small village of Nyaru in Africa, where the golden sun painted the savannah in brilliant hues every morning, young Kofi walked to school with his worn-out shoes, feeling the weight of every stare from his classmates. Despite his cheerful spirit, he could not escape the cruel teasing of Kwame, the son of a wealthy merchant whose fancy clothes and polished shoes made Kofi feel painfully inadequate. Every day, Kwame would mock Kofi's tattered uniform, calling him names that made the other children laugh, though deep down some felt guilty for joining in. Kofi's mother had worked tirelessly in the fields, sacrificing her own comfort to ensure her son had even the smallest chance to study and improve his life. And Kofi knew that beneath the teasing lay envy and arrogance, not true superiority. One afternoon, as the school bell rang, Kofi stumbled upon an old baobab tree near the edge of the village, where he often went to think quietly. There, he discovered a mysterious, shimmering stone partially buried under the roots, glowing with an otherworldly light. Intrigued and slightly fearful, Kofi picked it up, feeling warmth seep through his fingers and a strange energy surged through his body. Little did he know, the stone was enchanted by the spirits of the ancestors, meant to test the hearts of those who were humble and brave. That evening, Kofi carried the stone home, hiding it carefully in his worn satchel, and went to bed dreaming of what adventures might come from such a discovery. By the next morning, whispers had spread in the village of a magical event, a sign from the elders that something extraordinary was about to unfold. At school, Kwame continued his bullying, unaware that Kofi was no longer the same timid boy. The stone's magic had begun to awaken his courage, wisdom, and resilience, preparing him for a journey that would teach both boys lessons in respect, humility, and the true meaning of strength. Kofi's heart raced with anticipation, knowing that the days ahead would challenge him in ways he had never imagined, but also realizing that within every hardship lay an opportunity to rise above, and perhaps even transform those who had once tormented him. For in the world of African tales, justice often wore the guise of adventure, and even the smallest soul could carry the greatest power. The next morning, Kofi awoke with a strange sense of purpose, the glowing stone still warm in his hands, as if urging him to face the day with courage unlike any he had known before. At school, Kwame strutted down the dusty path with his usual smug grin, ready to humiliate Kofi once more. But today, something had changed. Kofi held his head high, his heart steady, and his eyes shining with a newfound confidence that made the whispers of other students grow into an almost tangible excitement. During the morning lessons, Kwame tried to provoke him, hurling cruel words and mocking gestures, but Kofi remained calm, almost as if he could feel the stone's protective energy flowing through him, teaching him patience and cleverness. And instead of reacting with anger or tears, he answered each insult with a quiet wisdom that surprised both his classmates and the teachers. By midday, the tension had grown unbearable for Kwame, whose ego could not tolerate this unexpected resistance. And in a fit of frustration, he challenged Kofi to a test of skill in the dusty schoolyard, demanding a race across the field that no one had ever dared to attempt under the scorching sun. Kofi accepted, not with fear, but with determination, knowing that the spirits connected to the magical stone had already prepared him for challenges that required heart, agility, and intelligence rather than mere strength. As the race began, Kwame shot forward with speed fueled by arrogance, while Kofi kept a steady pace, observing the patterns of the ground, the position of the sun, and the timing of his own breaths, moving with an almost instinctive harmony that seemed guided by an unseen force. By the final stretch, Kwame's exhaustion began to show, his confidence wavering, while Kofi surged forward with unexpected speed, crossing the finish line first, the cheers of the students echoing like drums in the open air, surprising everyone and shaking Kwame to his core. The elders who had come to watch the school's daily activities nodded knowingly. For in African tales, such moments of triumph were never mere luck, they were the fruits of courage, humility, and the blessings of unseen powers that tested the hearts of both the strong and the weak. From that day on, whispers about the mysterious aura surrounding Kofi spread, and even the teachers began to treat him with respect, recognizing that greatness often arose from the humblest beginnings, while Kwame, humbled yet intrigued, began to question his own actions and the true meaning of strength. By sunset, Kofi returned to the baobab tree, holding the stone close, feeling its energy pulse like a heartbeat, knowing that greater challenges were ahead, that the path of bravery and wisdom was only beginning, and that his journey would not only teach him about courage, but also guide those around him, including the one surrogate Kwame, toward understanding that true power lies not in wealth or appearance, but in the courage to face one's fears, the wisdom to act with integrity, and the patience to let destiny unfold in its own magical way. As days passed, Kofi noticed subtle changes not only within himself, but also in the village. The magical stone seemed to whisper guidance, encouraging him to help others and to observe the world with a keen heart. And he began noticing small injustices and opportunities to make a difference, from helping younger children carry heavy water jars to resolving disputes among classmates with fairness and patience. Actions that slowly drew the attention of Kwame, who watched in quiet astonishment as the boy he once mocked gained the respect of everyone around him. One afternoon, the village elders called for Kofi, sensing that his journey had reached a turning point. They told him of an ancient legend, that the baobab tree he had discovered the stone under was sacred, planted by ancestors who believed that the humble and brave would one day find the courage to protect the village from a looming threat. A drought that had already begun to parch neighboring lands and darken the hearts of those who lost hope. Kofi listened carefully, feeling the stone pulse in agreement, its energy guiding him to find solutions beyond the ordinary, and with his heart pounding in excitement and responsibility, he decided to gather the children of the village and teach them how to conserve water, plant seeds that could survive harsh conditions, and support each other through challenges, creating a sense of unity and shared purpose that had been missing for generations. Witnessing Kofi's selfless dedication felt a strange mix of shame and admiration, realizing for the first time that his wealth and status could never replace courage, kindness, and wisdom. And he approached Kofi hesitantly, offering to help with the preparations for planting and organizing the villagers, a gesture that Kofi accepted with a warm smile, showing that even those who once hurt us could become allies when hearts were open to change. As the sun set over the savannah, casting golden shadows across the village, Kofi stood by the baobab tree, holding the stone tightly, reflecting on how far he had come since the days of ridicule and fear. and how the simplest acts of courage and compassion could transform lives, heal wounds, and inspire greatness in others, no matter their background or status. Understanding deeply that African tales often teach that the strongest hearts are those that rise above cruelty, that wisdom is earned through experience and humility, and that magic is real not only in stones or spirits, but also in the courage, kindness, and determination of those willing to act for the good of all. And as night fell, the villagers slept with a renewed hope in their hearts, knowing that a boy who had once been bullied for being poor now carried the light of change, and that the journey of growth, learning, and unity had only just begun, promising adventures, challenges, and triumphs that would shape the destiny of the entire village for generations to come. Weeks passed, and the village of Nyaru began to transform, thanks to Kofi's courage, wisdom, and the guidance of the magical stone. The fields that were once barren now sprouted young crops. The children learned to work together, and even Kwame, who had once mocked Kofi relentlessly, began to change, helping others and understanding the importance of humility and compassion, realizing that wealth and privilege were meaningless without heart and purpose. One morning, as Kofi walked toward the school with the stone carefully tucked in his bag, a distant cry echoed from the edge of the savannah, and he ran to find a group of villagers trapped near a swollen river caused by sudden heavy rains. Their small canoes overturned and belongings swept away, panic in their eyes, and Kofi felt the stone's warmth surge, urging him to act quickly and wisely. He organized the children into rescue teams, calming frightened villagers, and led them across safer paths, using clever makeshift bridges and ropes, all while encouraging everyone with words of hope and determination. Kwame, seeing Kofi's leadership and bravery, joined without hesitation, carrying heavy supplies and assisting those in need, his previous arrogance replaced by gratitude and respect. And together they worked tirelessly until every villager was safe, the danger averted, and the village breathed in relief and awe at the courage of a boy once bullied for being poor. That evening, the elders gathered the villagers beneath the baobab tree, praising Kofi's bravery and the unity he had inspired, reminding everyone that African tales often teach that courage and wisdom can come from the most unexpected places, and that the true strength of a community lies in the hearts of those willing to act for the good of all, not in wealth, power, or status. Kofi looked at the glowing stone, realizing that it had not only given him courage, but had shown him the importance of empathy, leadership, and the power of inspiring change through action rather than words. And he understood that the lessons he had learned would continue to guide him through future challenges, shaping him into a leader who would serve his village and beyond with wisdom and kindness. That night, under a sky full of twinkling stars, the villagers celebrated with music, dance, and laughter, the air filled with hope, joy, and a sense of possibility. And Kofi, standing beside Kwame and the children he had guided, felt a deep connection to his ancestors, the baobab tree, and the magical stone that had chosen him, knowing that while he had grown stronger and wiser, the journey was far from over, and that every act of courage, no matter how small, could ripple through time, transforming lives and inspiring generations to come. reinforcing the timeless truth of African tales that even a boy once mocked and overlooked could rise to greatness through heart, determination, and the quiet, unstoppable power of kindness, courage, and unity. As the seasons changed, the village of Niaru flourished under the guidance of Kofi, whose courage, wisdom, and the magic of the stone had transformed not only the land but the hearts of everyone around him, including Kwame, who now walked humbly beside Kofi, learning the true meaning of respect, empathy, and friendship. And together they taught the children and villagers that unity, courage, and kindness were more powerful than wealth, and that every challenge, no matter how daunting, could be overcome when hearts were brave and intentions pure. One day, a messenger arrived from a distant village, bringing news of a devastating famine approaching their region. And without hesitation, Kofi organized a journey to share knowledge, resources, and hope with those in need, guiding the villagers in preparation, planning carefully to ensure that no one would be left behind, and using the lessons he had learned from the magical stone to navigate treacherous paths and solve problems with patience, ingenuity, and compassion. Along the way, Kwame struggled at first, haunted by fear and doubt, but Kofi encouraged him with quiet wisdom and trust, showing that bravery was not the absence of fear, but the strength to act despite it. And together, they reached the neighboring village, offering food, guidance, and hope, and inspiring the people to rise above despair and work together, planting seeds for the future just as they had in Niaru. The villagers of both communities celebrated their success with music, dance, and stories, weaving a new tapestry of courage, generosity, and unity that would be remembered for generations, while Kofi, holding the glowing stone beneath the baobab tree at the edge of the neighboring village, realized that its true magic lay not in power or spells, but in awakening the goodness, bravery, and wisdom that already existed in every heart willing to listen and act. And he knew that his journey had taught him lessons far greater than any wealth or recognition could offer. By sunset, as the sky blazed with colors of gold and crimson, Kofi reflected on the journey from the boy who was once mocked for being poor to the young leader who inspired hope, courage, and transformation across villages, understanding that African tales always carry the timeless message that greatness is measured not by possessions but by the impact one has on others, and that even the smallest acts of courage, kindness, and wisdom can grow into legacies that change the world. Finally, Kofi placed the stone carefully beneath the baobab tree, knowing that while its magic had guided him, the true power would continue to live within the hearts of those who believed in courage, unity, and hope. And as night fell, the stars shone brighter over Niaru, casting their light over a village transformed by bravery and love, a living testament to the fact that even a boy once bullied for being poor could rise to greatness, teach others, and change the course of countless lives, proving that, in the world of African tales, courage, wisdom, and kindness are the most enduring magic of all.